everybody, and today we're going to be talking about a Japanese film called Woodjob. Woodjob is a 2014 film and follows our protagonist Yuki Hirano, who just graduates from high school and doesn't really get accepted into any university. So with no plans for the future and with a very carefree attitude, he completely on random chooses to go into a forestry program just because he sees a pretty girl on the front page of the advertisement magazine. And so in this forestry program, it's like 1 month of studying the basics of forestry, and then the guys who graduate, they get sent into these different villages to work for a year. Now, as soon as Yuki gets there, he regrets every decision of his life because it's not for him, or at least that's what he thinks. But he doesn't quit, obviously, since this movie exists. He doesn't quit and gets sent into one of the villages, and from then on, it's a story of Yuki trying to get used to the life in this small village, and the people of the village trying to accept Yuki as one of them. I love stories like this where the protagonist feels stuck and doesn't really have any plans for the future, doesn't know what to do, so he kind of does something on completely random, which kind of ends up becoming something good for them. And it really reminded me of Silver Spoon, another Japanese story. It's a manga / anime, and the reason I even watched Woodjob in the first place is because under my comment section of one of my recent videos, Expression of Emotion Through Art, that video, there was a person in the comments who I recommended Silver Spoon to them, and then they said that they watched Woodjob recently and they're kind of like similar, and because of that I immediately was drawn to Woodjob, and I'm glad I watched it, and I can see why, this person mentioned Woodjob after I recommended them Silver Spoon, because they have similarities, and I'll tell you how. To briefly explain what Silver Spoon is about, here we have our protagonist, Yugo Hachiken, who graduates from a very prestigious middle school, but doesn't get accepted into a prestigious high school, and living in this very strict household, he's tired of that and wants to run away. So for him, the only thing he wants now is to run away. So he chooses a high school that has dorms, and that high school is an agricultural high school. So it's a story of Hachiken getting used to that kind of lifestyle and finding meaning in that as well. So as you can see, Woodjob and Silver Spoon have similar premises, but they have differences as well. By the way, don't worry, I haven't and I'm not going to spoil anything for either of these stories. What I'm saying is just like right on the surface of these stories, so don't worry about that. Unlike Hachiken, the protagonist of Silver Spoon, Yuki, the protagonist of Woodjob, isn't this guy who's ready to give his all to anything. Hachiken is this very hardworking guy who he wants to find something for his life. He wants to find meaning, feels frustrated, but at the same time puts a lot of effort into everything. He's a very respectful kid. Yuki is kind of the opposite of that. But I want to say that unfortunately I saw some part of myself in Yuki, and specifically the part who wanted to give up pretty much in the first 2 days of getting into the forestry study. Yuki thinks that he's not cut out for it, neither mentally nor physically, so he wants to quit immediately, and unfortunately I relate to that. I feel like that's what I would do. In fact, there have been many things where I have given up on them or haven't even tackled it because I thought that it's just not for me, when in reality you really have to give it a try and your best to actually see if it works out or not. And this is the aspect of Hachiken, who, I personally think is a person or a character who I wish I was more like. A person who actually gives their best and through that actually finds meaning in the story of Silver Spoon. But what both of these characters share is that they both run away, but run away not in a bad way, but actually make running away a productive thing. Both Yuki and Hachiken choose their respective industries completely randomly just to get away, and in Yuki's case, as I said, although he doesn't really want to try or give it his best, he still sticks with it, and by sticking with it and actually not giving up, he finds benefit from it. It ends up being something that changes his life in a better way. Same for Hachkin. He becomes a different person, more confident in Silver Spoon. So it's something that personally I've always wished to do as well, to get away and to a place that's far away and maybe like kind of find myself, as cheesy as it sounds. In fact, there's something similar that I'm trying to do right now, and that's to study abroad for 2 years for my master's. And if everything goes well, then I'll start by the fall season of this year, but I'm not sure how everything is going to end up. But yeah, I am thinking about that. I've been thinking about that for a while. I think that would be a great opportunity to just go to a country that's far away and study there and just, you know, be in a completely new environment. And although, you know, I am still confused on what I really want to do, and I'm soon graduating from my university, my bachelor's degree, but I still have no idea what I want to do. I'm clueless. I have no plans for the future. I have some ambitions, of course, but even them, sometimes I question them, whether I really want those things. What do I really want? All these questions. And I'm thinking that perhaps going to a place that's far, far away, to a completely new land, perhaps that would be a good change for me, and maybe I would find something, as these characters did in both of these stories. Another thing that I really loved about Woodjob is its setting. It's in this small village that doesn't have that many people in it. It has gorgeous nature, beautiful forests full of green, tall trees. I find that really beautiful. And the way the beautiful scenery is filmed in this village and everything around it is filmed, you know, you can see that the director really cared and put thought into it. Even like the scenes where they cut down huge trees, it doesn't look bad. I mean, like CGI or effects-wise, they did a really good job with this movie overall, technically. And also, I personally adore things that have beautiful nature in them. I always want to like get away into some kind of village and just like walk around there, because it would calm me down so much. You know, living in the city though, you don't really get to experience that. Like, I like taking walks at least in quieter neighborhoods. That calms me down, but I wish I could get into like some village and just, you know, be there in this peaceful environment. But as I said, living in the city, I can't really do that. So because of that, I can at least get it through movies, kind of like imagine myself in that place. It actually works and helps, and I like that. Also, by the way, the soundtrack, although isn't anything spectacular, it fits into the whole kind of atmosphere of the village, and it really works. And, you know, it was a really nice, peaceful experience. Another thing that I want to point out is that I love when stories teach me random things. And what I mean by that is that sometimes you watch a movie, they teach you either a random fact or a random skill. Perhaps you're never going to need that. But still, now you know. With Woodjob, there are several scenes where they show you how you need to cut down a tree properly. Will I ever need to cut down a tree? Will I ever be in a setting where I need to cut down a tree? Probably not. But now I know, you know, and I like that. Same with Silver Spoon. They have tons of facts about agriculture, industry, animals, all of that. Once again, you know, most likely I'm never going to work in a farm, but, you know, now I know. And I love that about these stories. One more thing I want to mention, and this has definitely been influenced by anime, and that's stories that focus on either niche hobbies or on these like specific settings that you don't get to see or experience every day. I mean, you know, previously if I read a description of a story that was like, so this is a story of a bunch of people playing this weird Japanese card game called Karata, I wouldn't care. By the way, if you know what anime I just described, you're awesome. I like you. But yeah, now if I read something like this, like, oh, it's about something that I've never heard about, or maybe like it's just something that I don't really know that many things about. I don't know the details. That excites me. You know, with Silver Spoon and with Woodjob, it's about agriculture, forestry industries. It's not something that I ever get to see in real life. As I said, I live in the city. I've never been in a farm. I've never seen people cutting down trees and working forestry industry. I've never seen stuff like this, but when I watch stories like these, it makes me appreciate the work these people do every single day. I mean, I respect everyone in any industry. You know, if you have a job and you go to work every single day and contribute do something, it's great and I already respect you. But with something like, for example, let's say like agriculture, like when I go and buy like vegetables or fruits, I don't think about the amount of work that went into those things. I don't think about the details, right? You just buy it and, you know, you enjoy it. But what we don't really think about is that behind that beautiful fruit that you're holding, there's tons of work put into it. People who wake up early in the morning every single day to take care of the crops, to make sure that these crops are in perfect condition. Or when we buy beautiful, you know, things that are made out of wood, or even houses that have tons of woodwork in them, we once again don't think about these things. But once again, there are people somewhere out there in villages in different areas every single day doing their best to contribute, to do their work and do it right. And it makes me appreciate that. It makes me more conscious of people like that around me and makes me respect them even more. And I find that really fascinating when stories do that. I love when the story creators, writers, they know some like industries or hobbies and they share their love for it, or they share information about it and make you more aware of it. For example, with Silver Spoon, Hiromu Arakawa, the creator, she was born and raised in a farm. So she shares all that information with people around and also makes a great story out of it. And I appreciate that a lot. So yeah, Woodjob as a comfort film does its job really well. It's a wholesome story of Yuki, who's a carefree dude who gets used to working in this village and finds meaning and finds a lot of love for this village and for this industry, and the people of the village liking Yuki and accepting him. It's a really nice story. It's a comfort film that you can watch when maybe you don't really want to watch any drama film or anything that has a lot of intense moments. You just want to relax and don't worry for a bit. I think Woodjob is perfect for those occasions. It's a comfort film through and through. And, you know, I've been praising it pretty much, and I don't really have any major problems. If I have to be nitpicky, I'd say that, I guess, you know, since it's a comedy, I personally didn't find the jokes funny at all. Maybe some of you will find maybe a joke or two okay. It's not my cup of tea, but I don't really care about that part. Overall, as a story, it's really nice and pleasant, and I really enjoyed my time with it. So this was my joint review of Woodjob / Silver Spoon. Actually, you know what? Silver Spoon definitely deserves its own video, and I might do that sometime in the future. I mean, it's one of my favorite stories ever. I highly recommend it. It's from the same creator of Full Metal Alchemist, you know, Hiromu Arakawa. She's amazing. There are 2 seasons of the anime, 22 episodes in total, but it doesn't finish the story, but the manga is finished. I don't think season 3 will ever come out, so I recommend reading the manga. You know, either watch the anime and then read the manga as a continuation, or do both. Whatever you want, you know, check it out. You won't regret it. It's one of the most inspirational stories. It has some of the best character writing. It's great. Yeah, so check it out for sure, and check out Woodjob as well. So this is it. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, leave a like as always, and if you want to check out my social media accounts, links for them in the description of this video and just description of the channel in general. Sometimes people ask me like, oh, have you seen this movie? Are you going to make a video on it? Sometimes, you know, I don't review every big movie that comes out, but if I've seen it and I want to kind of talk about it, I usually will share my brief opinion on it on like Twitter or Instagram stories. So yeah, follow me there. And yeah, if you don't want to miss my other videos that I now make weekly, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye.